Gauranga. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 5, chapter 18, text 18. We have been reading. Sukadev Goswami is describing how the different personalities and the different planets and the different varshas are offering prayers to the different incarnations of the Supreme Lord. We heard the beautiful prayers by Prahlad Maharaj, the prayers he's offering to Lord Nishingadev. In Harivarsh, then we have Lakshmi Devi and the other personalities offering prayers to Pradyumna's expansion as Kamdev. Let's continue reading. Om Hram Shrim Shrum Om Namo Bhagavate Rishikeshaya Sarvaguna Vishesher Vilakshitatmane Akutinam Chittinam Chetasam Visheshanam Chadhipataye Shodasha Kalaya Chando Mayayana Mayayamrita Mayaya Sarva Mayaya Sahase Ojase Balaya Kantaya Kamaya Namaste Ubhayatra Bhuyat.
Do we recite this?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Om Hram Hrim Hrum Om Namo Bhagavate Rishikeshaya Sarva Guna Visheshe Vilakshitat Mane Akutinam Chittinam Chetasam Visheshanam Chadipataye Shodaksha Kalaya Chando Mayayana Mayayamrita Mayaya Sarva Mayaya Sahese Ojase Balaya Kantaya Kamaya Namaste Upayatra Bhuyat.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Rishikesh, the controller of all my senses and the origin of everything. As the Supreme Master of all bodily, mental, and intellectual activities, he is the only enjoyer of their results. The 5 sense objects and 11 senses, including the mind, are his partial manifestations. He supplies all the necessities of life, which are his energy, and thus non-different from him. And he is the cause of everyone's bodily and mental prowess, which is also non-different from him. Indeed, he is the husband and provider of necessities for all living entities. The purpose of all the Vedas is to worship him. Therefore, let us all offer him our respectful obeisances. May he always be favorable toward us in this life and the next. In this verse, the word Maya is further explained in regard to how the Lord expands his mercy in different ways. Parasya Shaktir Vividheva Shruyate. The energies of the Supreme Lord are understood in different ways. In this verse, he is described as the original source of everything. Even our body, senses, mind, activities, prowess, bodily strength, mental strength, and determination for securing the necessities of life. So Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that I am the intelligence of the intelligent, I am the strength of the strong, I am the ability in man. And this verse is saying the same thing here. It happens so automatically that we think we are doing it, but it's actually all Krishna's energy. We are thinking this body is mine, the senses are mine, this is my energy, my mental or physical strength, it's my mind. But we are actually the spirit souls. We are not able to understand that everything actually belongs to Krishna. Indeed, the Lord's energies can be perceived in everything, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.8, Rasoham apsu kaunteya. The taste of water is also Krishna. Krishna is the active principle of everything we need for our maintenance. So, we are thinking body is mine, senses are mine, mind is mine, and so we use it as per our discretion. You don't understand. Oh, it belongs to Krishna. So how I can use my mind in this way? It doesn't occur to us. Or I can say, like most of us. But here we are saying that it belongs to Krishna. And Krishna says, no, in Bhagavad Gita, that all these material elements, earth, water, air, fire, ether, and the subtle elements also, they belong to him. The 5 gross and 3 subtle elements. This verse, offering respectful obeisances unto the Lord, was composed by Rama, the goddess of fortune, and is full of spiritual power. Under the guidance of a spiritual master, everyone should chant this mantra and thus become a complete and perfect devotee of the Lord. One may chant this mantra for complete liberation from material bondage. And after liberation, one may continue to chant it while worshipping the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha Lok. All mantras, of course, are meant for this life and the next life, as Krishna himself confirms in Bhagavad Gita 9.14. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridvrata namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, the great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. A devotee who both in this life and the next chants the Maha Mantra or any mantra is called Nitya Yukto Upasak. So Nitya Yukta Upasate. We chant Hare Krishna in this life and continue to chant Hare Krishna in the next life. The inhabitants of Golok Vrindavan, they are chanting Hare Krishna. They're singing and chanting the glories of Krishna. Because someone may think, oh, well, I can chant Hare Krishna in this life, and then after I get liberated, then I can sit down, sit back, relax, and not do anything, just go to sleep maybe. And no, the devotees, they're eternally chanting, eternally serving Krishna. So Prabhupada is saying this mantra by Lakshmi Devi is very powerful. Striyo vritesva rishikeshwaram swato.
Striyo vritesva rishikeshwaram swato.
Yaradhya loke patim ashasate nyam.
Yaradhya loke patim asha satenyam.
Tasam nate ve paripanti apatyam.
Tasam nateve paripanti apatyam.
Priyam dhanayum siyato swatantraha.
Priyam dhanayum siyato swatantra.
My dear Lord, you are certainly the fully independent master of all the senses. Therefore, all women who worship you by strictly observing vows, because they wish to acquire a husband to satisfy their senses are surely under illusion. They do not know that such a husband cannot actually give protection to them or their children, nor can he protect their wealth or duration of life, for he himself is dependent on time, fruitive results, and the modes of nature, which are all subordinate to you. In this verse, Lakshmi Devi Rama shows compassion toward women who worship the Lord for the benediction of possessing a good husband. Although such women desire to be happy with children, wealth, a long duration of life, and everything dear to them, they cannot possibly do so. In the material world, the so-called husband is dependent on the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So young girls, young women, they may do special austerities to get a good husband. And here Lakshmi Devi is saying that they don't understand that even their husband is dependent on you. The gopis, they did the tapasya, the Katyayani Vrat, but they wanted Krishna as their husband. So in the material world, a so-called husband is dependent on the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many examples of a woman whose husband, being dependent on the result of his own fruitive actions, cannot maintain his wife, her children, her wealth, or her duration of life. Therefore, factually, the only real husband of all women is Krishna, the Supreme Husband. Because the gopis were liberated souls, they understood this fact. Therefore, they rejected their material husbands and accepted Krishna as their real husband. Krishna is the real husband, not only of the gopis, but of every living entity. Everyone should perfectly understand that Krishna is the real husband of all living entities who are described in the Bhagavad Gita as Prakriti, female, not Purusha, male. So, we may be in man body or woman body, but we are all Prakriti, female. Krishna is the only Purush. God is the only Purusha. And we are all maintained by him. So we are all Prakriti. In Bhagavad Gita 10.12, only Krishna is addressed as Purush. Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shasvatam Divyam, Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. You are the Supreme Brahman, the ultimate, the supreme abode and purifier, the absolute truth, and the eternal divine person. You are the primal God, transcendental and original. And you are the unborn and all-pervading beauty. So Arjuna, he says this verse to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. After he hears from Krishna about Krishna's vibhutis, some of his opulences, Arjuna accepts Krishna as the Supreme Lord, as the absolute truth. He's understanding you are the Supreme Brahman, the ultimate, the supreme abode and purifier. So when we are saying ultimate, means there's no one beyond Krishna. Because someone may think that there is something beyond Krishna, there's something inside him, outside him. No, Krishna, he's the ultimate. He's the absolute truth. And the Supreme Brahman, he's also being called Supreme Brahman. Why? Because the Brahman is coming from him. He's the source of the Brahman. Arjuna is calling him primal God, transcendental, Satchidananda, original. He's unborn. Krishna, he's eternal. Because someone may think, oh, well, Krishna was there 5,000 years ago, and so Krishna does not exist anymore. No, Krishna is eternal. God is eternal. Krishna is the original Purusha, and the living entities are Prakriti. Thus, Krishna is the enjoyer, and all living entities are meant to be enjoyed by him. Therefore, any woman who seeks a material husband for her protection, or any man who desires to become the husband of a woman, is under illusion. To become a husband means to maintain a wife and children nicely by supplying wealth and security. However, a material husband cannot possibly do this, for he is dependent on his karma. So Lakshmi Devi is saying that even the husband is not independent. Each and every one of us are dependent on Krishna. That's why he's called the Purush. He's the only one who's maintaining Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. Says Katha Upanishad, that there are so many eternals. Among all these eternals, there is only one eternal who's maintaining all the other eternals, and that is Krishna. He's maintaining each and every one of us. Karmana Deva Netrena. His circumstances are determined by his past fruitive activities. Therefore, if one proudly thinks he can protect his wife, he is under illusion. Krishna is the only husband, and therefore the relationship between a husband and wife in this material world cannot be absolute. So it's not that after reading this we go and fight with our husbands. Not that, but the point to understand is that even our husbands, they are dependent on Krishna. Because we have the desire to marry, Krishna mercifully allows the so-called husband to possess a wife and the wife to possess a so-called husband for mutual satisfaction. In the Ishopanishad it is said, Tena tyaktena bhunjita. The Lord provides everyone with his quota. So whatever is needed by someone, provider is Krishna. Krishna makes the arrangements. Actually, however, every living entity is Prakriti or female, and Krishna is the only husband. Ekale Ishvara Krishna ara sababhritya, yare yeche nachaya se taiche kare nritya. Caitaniya Caritamita Adi Leela, Chapter 5, Text 142. Krishna is the original master or husband of everyone. And all other living entities, having taken the form of so-called husbands or wives, are dancing according to his desire. A so-called husband may unite with his wife for sense gratification, but his senses are conducted by Rishikesh, the master of the senses, who is therefore the actual husband. So Prabhupada is pointing out here that everyone senses the owner is Krishna. We don't create our senses. We just find ourselves inside this body. But we can't control the senses. If they belong to us, we should be able to control them. For example, the eyes become weak and can't see properly, need to wear glasses. If we were really the controllers, then we should be able to, control that and say, oh, no, you can't get weak. You have to see perfectly. Or can't hear properly, as we are getting old, hearing is being lost. So Prabhupada is pointing out that the real owner of the senses is Krishna, Rishikesh. We may be taking bodies of husbands or wives, but actually the real husband of everyone is Krishna. Any comments, questions? So as we just said, please don't go home and fight with your husbands that, oh, you're not my husband. But, just to understand that each and every one of us is dependent on Krishna. Save pati syad akuto bhaya swayam.
Save pati syad akuto bhaya swayam.
Samantatapatibhayaturam janam.
Samantata turam janam.
Sa eka eve taratha mitho bhayam.
Sa eka eve taratha mitopayam.
Nevatmalabhadadimanyate param.
Nevad malabhat adimanyate param.
He alone who is never afraid, but who, on the contrary, gives complete shelter to all fearful persons, can actually become a husband and protector. Therefore, my Lord, you are the only husband, and no one else can claim this position. If you were not the only husband, you would be afraid of others. Therefore, persons learned in all Vedic literature accept only your lordship as everyone's master, and they think no one else a better husband and protector than you. Here, the meaning of husband or guardian is clearly explained. People want to become a husband, a guardian, a governor, or a political leader without knowing the actual meaning of such a superior position. There are many people all over the world, indeed throughout the universe, who claim for some time that they are husbands, political leaders, or guardians. But in due course of time, the Supreme Lord desires their removal from their posts, and their careers are immediately finished. Therefore, those who are actually learned and advanced in spiritual life do not accept any leader, husband, or maintainer other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Lakshmi Devi is saying that who is really a protector, who is really a husband? One who never gets afraid under any circumstance, but who can in fact protect everyone else who are fearful. So who can take away everyone else's fear. So like complete protection. Krishna says that surrender unto me, do not fear. Krishna is saying that in Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna personally states in Bhagavad Gita, here Prabhupada is saying, Bhagavad Gita 1866, Aham tvam sarve papebhyo mokshishyami, I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Krishna is not afraid of anyone. On the contrary, everyone is afraid of Krishna. So Krishna is not afraid of anyone. We just celebrated 1 month that Krishna is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again, and his eyes are filled with fear. So Krishna, he's not afraid of anyone, but yet he's afraid of Mother Yashoda. And that is the greatness of Krishna. We can see this is how he's unlimited. He's unlimited. That shows really that he's not afraid and yet he's afraid. It shows how inconceivable he is, how unlimited he is. And Kunti Maharani in her prayers, she says that everyone is afraid of you. Fear personified is afraid of you. And yet you are afraid of Mother Yashoda. So this is Krishna's inconceivable nature, unlimited. Therefore, he can actually give protection to a subordinate living entity. So, did anyone want to say anything in this regard or have any realization or something? Okay. So therefore, he can actually give protection to a subordinate living entity, since so-called leaders or dictators are completely under the control of material nature. They can never give complete protection to others, although they claim this ability due to false prestige. So complete protection, nobody in the material world can give, like 100% guarantee. No, there is no. It's only Krishna. Although we claim, but then that's our false ego, that's our pride. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. People do not know that real advancement in life consists of accepting the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one's master. So here, real advancement in life. Now we may think I am advanced if I study in this university, or if I get this degree, or if I, we term our advancement in terms of our material possessions. But our real advancement is if we can accept Krishna as our master, because Krishna is the only one who can give us complete protection. Instead of deceiving themselves and others by pretending to be all powerful, all political leaders, husbands, and guardians should spread the Krishna consciousness movement so that everyone can learn how to surrender to Krishna, the Supreme Husband. So Krishna is our only protector, only maintainer. And this is what Lakshmi Devi is saying here in her prayer. So we should understand that Krishna is the real, only actual husband of everyone. Yatasya te patsaroroharaham arahanam
यातस्य ते पादसरोरुहाहनम्
nikamayetsakilakamalam
निकामयेत्साखिलकामलम्पता
tadeva raspipsitam ipsitorchito
तद् एव रासिप्सितम् इप्सितोर् अच्छितो
yadbhagnayachna bhagavan pratapyate.
यद्भग्नयाचना भगवान् प्रतप्यते.
My dear Lord, you automatically fulfill all the desires of a woman who worships your lotus feet in pure love. However, if a woman worships your lotus feet for a particular purpose, you also quickly fulfill her desires. But in the end, she becomes broken-hearted and laments. Therefore, one need not worship your lotus feet for some material benefit. Srila Rupa Goswami describes pure devotional service as anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam. One should not worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead to fulfill some material desire for success in fruitive activities or mental speculation. Prabhupada would give this story. He would say that there is an old woman, she's carrying a big bundle of wood on her head. Somehow the bundle falls down, and because she has to go sell this wood now to get money. She's poor. So the bundle falls down. There's nobody there around to help her. She starts crying and praying to the Lord, help me, help me. The Lord comes in front of her, says, what do you want? She says, you help me put the bundle on my head. Now the Lord is in front of her. She can ask him for anything. She can ask him, take me back home and let me get free from this trouble of material life, of this poverty. But then she asks, put the bundle on my head. So Prabhupada would say, we are like that. We are asking God, fulfill our material desires. But the pure devotee, he does not ask for any material desires. So one should not worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead to fulfill some material desire for success in fruitive activities or mental speculation. But someone will say, I have material desires, and what do I do? Okay, well, then ask Krishna. Better to ask Krishna than to ask anyone else. Continue to engage in devotional service. To serve the lotus feet of the Lord means to serve him exactly as he desires. The neophyte devotee is therefore ordered to worship the Lord strictly according to the regulative principles given by the spiritual master and the Shastras. By executing devotional service in that way, he gradually becomes attached to Krishna. And when his original dormant love for the Lord becomes manifest, he spontaneously serves the Lord without any motive. So initially there is no love for Krishna, there is no attachment. But one still hears and chants and engages in devotional service. Why? Oh, because it's recommended. It is given to me by my spiritual master. It's given to me by the pure devotees. So one still engages in the hearing and chanting and worshipping the Lord according to rules and regulations. And gradually, as one gets purified, then one gets attached to Krishna. Because after all, this dormant love for Krishna is there, just like a child. He has the ability to walk. So just little practice, he falls a little sometimes. He holds something for some time and he starts walking and he practices, and one day he can walk perfectly. He runs. Because the ability is there. It's not that the ability is not there to love Krishna. Each of us has love for Krishna. It's not that we are trying to flap our hands. If we try for millions of years also to flap our hands, we are not going to be able to fly like that, because we don't have the ability in this human body to fly just with our hands. But we have this dormant love for Krishna. That's why we are said, you do it, follow it, practice it, and you will be able to revive it. This condition is the perfect stage of one's relationship with the Lord. The Lord then looks after the comfort and security of his devotee without being asked. I'm sorry. Okay. So the Lord looks after the comfort and security of the devotee without being asked. Krishna promises in Bhagavad Gita 9:22. Ananyas chintayato mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yoga shemam vahami aham. The Supreme Lord personally takes care of anyone who is completely engaged in his devotional service. Whatever he has, the Lord protects, and whatever he needs, the Lord supplies. Therefore, why should one bother the Lord for something material? Such prayers are unnecessary. So, for this verse, there is one story of the Brahmana that when he saw this verse that Krishna personally carries. So then he is like, no, why should he carry personally? He cuts it out and, he changes it a bit. And then the next morning, then sometime later, Krishna and Balaram, they come as two boys carrying all the groceries on their backs. And give it to his wife, and the wife is so enamored looking at these two boys, and she says, well, you have got so much groceries, let me cook for you. And they're like, no, if you better go away, your husband's going to beat us otherwise. And she's like, why would he beat you? He's not like that. They said, no, he does, look. And they showed the marks on their back. They were red marks. She's like, what? I'm going to talk to him when he comes. When he comes, the husband, she says, hey, why did you beat those two boys? They were such good boys. I didn't beat anyone. What do you mean? Yeah, you send these boys, you send this groceries through them, and then you have beat them. What's wrong with you? So then he was like, what? Really? So describe me the boys. And then she's like, one was darkish, one was whitish. And he realized that that was Krishna and Balaram who had come. So his faith was restored that, no, Krishna is saying he personally does it. Krishna shows by this example. So he quickly rectifies this, his copy of the Bhagavad Gita. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that even if a devotee wishes the Lord to fulfill a particular desire, the devotee should not be considered sakam bhakt, a devotee with some motive. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.16, Krishna says, Chaturvidha bhajante mam, jana sukritina arjuna, artho jigyasur artharthi, jnani cha bharatarshava, or best among the Bharatas, Arjun. 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. The Artha and the Artharthi, who approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead for relief from misery or for some money, are not Sakam Bhaktas, although they appear to be. So Krishna is saying that 4 kinds of people come: the distressed and desirer of wealth. So there is some motive. One is coming to Krishna to fulfill some material desire. So here Prabhupada is pointed out they are not sakam. Although they are appearing to be having this material motive, they are not materialistic. Being neophyte devotees, they are simply ignorant. Because one may say, oh, these devotees have come to Krishna. Here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that anyone who's become a devotee of Krishna, even if they are material desires, they should not be considered sakam. Sakam means having some material motive there. But Vishwanath, because in due course of time, they will become pure devotees. Devotional service is very powerful. So, yeah, they are simply ignorant. Later in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Udara sarva evaite. They are all magnanimous, Udara. Although in the beginning, a devotee may harbor some desire, in due course of time, it will vanish. So that's why Bhagavatam keeps saying, no matter what you have, therefore the Bhagavatam enjoins, akama sarva kamova, moksha kama udarade, tivrena bhakti yogena, yajate purusham param. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he's full of all material desire, is free from material desire, or has a desire for liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the Personality of Godhead. Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 10. Even if one wants something material, he should pray to no one but the Lord to fulfill his desires. So anyone who comes to Krishna, they may be having material desire. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying they should not be considered having material motive. They should not be considered as sakam, devotee. Because in due course of time, all the material desires will be purified. As we hear that nashta prayeshu abhadreshu, regularly by rendering service to the Bhagavad, the person and the scripture Bhagavad, all that is troublesome to the heart, it goes away. And devotional service to the Lord is established as an irrevocable fact. So even if one wants something material, he should pray to no one but the Lord to fulfill his desire. Whatever it may be, what we need, we may desire this material world, like Dhruv Maharaj. He wanted a great kingdom greater than Brahma. He approached the Lord. Or if one desires liberation, so like the 4 Kumaras, they were actually already liberated. They were Brahmagyanis, Brahmavadis. They came to Vishnu Lok, to Vaikuntha. They became devotees. Dhruv Maharaj, he became a pure devotee. And of course, one who has no desires. Everyone is advised to come to Krishna. If one approaches a demigod for the fulfillment of desires, he is to be considered nashta buddhi, bereft of all good sense. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.20, Kamesteste shrita jnana prapadyante anya devata tam niyamam asthaya prakritya niyata swaya. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods. and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. So whatever it may be, whatever desire we may have, whatever our position may be, should just come to Krishna, worship Krishna. Lakshmi Devi advises all devotees who approach the Lord with material desires that according to her practical experience, the Lord is Kamdev, and thus there's no need to ask him for anything material. She says that everyone should simply serve the Lord without any motive. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is sitting in everyone's heart, he knows everyone's thoughts, and in due course of time, he will fulfill all desires. So Srila Prabhupada is pointing out here that Lakshmi Devi is saying, why are you asking anything material? Krishna is there in the heart. He knows what you want. He'll fulfill it. As Prabhupada he writes in one of the purports of Bhagavad Gita, that just by being near a fragrant flower, without taking any extra endeavor to smell the flower, if one is just near that flower, one will be able to smell the fragrance. Similarly, Krishna is sitting so close to us. He's right next to us in our heart. And so he knows our desire. And he's the one who's fulfilling all our desires. He's maintaining us. He's also giving us what we are not, like, for example, he's maintaining us. We don't keep telling him, give me air to breathe, give me air to breathe, but he's providing that. Or the sun to rise, or, everything. So Lakshmi Devi is saying, he's anyway going to fulfill your material desires. He knows what you need. Why you are asking him anything material? That's the pure devotee. The pure devotees don't ask Krishna for anything material because they are completely dependent on Krishna. They understand Krishna is taking care of them. Therefore, let us completely depend on the service of the Lord without bothering him with our material requests. She's saying, instead, you serve the Lord. Don't bother him with anything. Serve him. He's anyway providing. He will continue to provide, whether you pray for it or no. He will provide it. Rather engage in serving him, pleasing him.
It's so
Any
nice.
questions?
Yeah, so nice. This is like he knows he's in our heart, in everyone's heart. He knows what our desires are. So why are we going, approaching and asking?
Yeah, so true, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have the confidence in him, It's like, I see it back now. Yeah, we are like, as Lakshmi Devi is saying, completely depend on him.
And it says that earlier that you should not approach the demigod for any desires, material desires.
Yeah, Krishna himself is saying in the Bhagavad Gita. Because we'll still continue to remain in the material world. That's the reason. Like, all due respect to them, they are very great personalities. They're great devotees of the Lord. Very great devotees. And if we at all want to ask them something, we can ask them kindly, as you are a devotee of the Lord, give me also devotion to the Lord.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
that's the
Krishna
best we
saying,
can ask. So, yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's the best we can ask, no?
Yeah.
God for this.
Yeah. That's
engage
what,
me. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like the demigods, they are engaged, as you rightly said, they are engaged in service of Krishna. Yeah, so we should also ask them to engage us in Krishna's service. Yeah. Because the heart doesn't get purified, the material desire, the proclivity to sin, all that still remains in the form of vijja, in seed form in the heart. Very, very subtle form. It still remains. So that keeps still keeping us in the material world. So you would stop here, I think. This might be a little longer.
Long. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening and enjoying. And Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.